Hello and welcome to City Connections. Today I have special guest Roger and his wife Theresa, and we are down at the big depot, and Roger's going to show us what he's done so far in the renovation and saving of the depot, but also what possibly can happen with it. So this has been an exciting project to watch. You did it very quickly, and we are on the outside of the building, interrupted by trains and traffic, but that's what we're all about. We want the more people down here, the better off we are. So Roger, if you talk about your lovely wife a little more,
well,
get on her good side.
Be on her good side, I tell you.
Go for it.
Brought my wife Theresa with me, and she's the reason we have the depot. And we had a lunch across the street at Joe's Pizza with Preserve Richmond and Landmarks, and they said we should buy the depot. And I said, there's tons of people been looking at this for the last 40 years. They're a lot smarter than I. Couldn't make it go. And I said, and besides, my wife would never let me buy this. And she said, I think it's a good idea. So it was not my idea to
and
get
here
this.
You are.
And here we are. So behind every project, there's a good woman. So Theresa's the one with...
Would you like to repeat that one more time?
Yes.
And I sincerely mean it, because there's a lot of trials and tribulations, but this is a community project. I know that the city's owned it, a lot of different people, the UEA, and no one's made it go because it was such bad shape.
Right.
And the pictures before, when we had the open house, it looked like the Addams family and the Munsters lived here. And since
or
that,
we've been hit by a bomb.
or by a bomb, because there were no floors, no anything. Just on the outside where we're standing right now, every inch, every tuck pointing joint had to be ground out and re-tuck pointed up and down. I mean, there's miles and miles of linear feet here that had to be redone. In fact, at one time there was so much dust and stuff coming off, the fire department was called. They thought the place was on fire. There was so much smoke coming out of here. But every inch of this has been redone. They came through after they ground it out, and they took a pastry bag with mortar, and then ground it out. Then they pressure washed it, took a bottle, looked like Windex, and muriatic acided this whole building. And that's why you can all of a sudden see the color. We thought the brick was all one color, and it's all different colors, beautiful different colors through the bricks, the browns, the beiges, the blacks that go through it. And after that, it's been sealed, and brick should be sealed every 15 years, and that's where the water got in here. The beautiful columns here, 30-foot pressed brick columns. I ask you, where else in the country do you find round brick columns? You won't. Daniel Burnham, the famous architect that built this, father of skyscrapers. One of the reasons these are still standing, there's a letter we found in one of the, Frank Walderman gave it to me, a copy of it, that showed where Daniel Burnham, the Pennsylvania Railroad wanted to use cheaper brick out here, and he said, no, I won't do it. It's special pressed brick to reduce the pollution and soot from the trains coming by and the coal dust, and that's why those are there, that's why they're standing, and it's amazing. When they cleaned off, we still got a little bird dew on it, but this was painted black, and we found these beautiful rose marble columns underneath here. Nobody's known that existed for 100 years. Just exciting. This is built in the classical style. Right above, you ask, is that vinyl siding up there? I go, no. When we pulled off the old plywood up there, we found this beautiful woodwork, and we rebuilt it all, went through it. It's got great features to it and sculpturing, and that's all original. And that's just another thing Daniel Burnham did. And as you're looking at the building, and it's tough to look up at the top, but where it looked like the teeth were gone, all the what we thought was limestones, terracotta, and there were 157 pieces gone. And if you remember, it just looked like jagged edges and everything, teeth. Roofs, sides, everything. And we had a guy come in, and I call him an artist, that came in from Florida, who handmade every one of those pieces by hand. He showed us how in 1902 they have the fingerprints of the workers underneath them. He said, my fingerprints will be there from now on. And it's exciting. And if you look at it, you cannot tell the difference between any of the that were replaced, the 157 pieces we replaced, or the ones that are originally there. And so it's exciting.
And talk about the windows. You redid the ones upper?
All of them. These are new windows. They are made exactly to look like the old windows. Because of the, when we were going to try to save everything, and when we got into them, they were rotted out completely. As a matter of fact, one reason you said we're doing this very fast, but I'm 7 months behind where I thought I'd be. I like to get things done now. And when we took them apart, on the back side, the headers, the brick, and everything was bad, and they had to redo that. The winter was tough. But these are all windows made exactly alike, but these are thermopane, energy efficient.
Great.
They also are tinted so that you can heat and cool the building where you wouldn't be able to before. You'd had to put shades behind so you wouldn't see the windows, and this way you can leave the windows open at all times. And so that was an architectural feature.
And it's just great to see windows and not boarded up. I mean, what a difference this has made for the entire Depot section now.
Oh, again, it looked like the Munsters and the Addams family lived here. And what's neat now is when you go inside, there's light. When was the last time light came into that building? 40 years ago, 35, 40 years ago? And you can see, you know, life coming back to the Depot.
Well, that's a good segue. Let's just go inside and look.
All righty.
Okay. Well, here we are inside the Depot, in the Depot area of down Richmond. But if any of you haven't been here since this renovation has started, you will be amazed. I mean, just look around. There's actually a floor upstairs. There's no pile of rubble over here that used to be steps. You've done a fantastic job.
Well, I'd like to say first off, it was all local contractors. Everybody that's worked on this was local contractors, and they did a wonderful job, because I guarantee I couldn't do any of this. I could do a little painting and papering, but when you come to this building, it's construction.
It's sound, too.
It's sound. This is an amazing building. The architect, David Indestrote, said that this is now is better than when it was built. One of the things that, as we're standing here, it looks like we're on wood, which we are, but this is covering the marble floors. Right. So this is 3/4 inch plywood that's covering all the marble to keep that from being damaged.
And it's amazing that it still exists of all the wear and tear and the rubble that this building's gone through the last 40 years.
They tell me that
it looks good.
They'll just polish it up and it'll come back. It'll be gorgeous. And the things that we've done in here that's just amazing to me, these columns that go up are made of cast iron. And we had no idea. Daniel Burnham made skyscrapers, and he put a lot of steel in this building, and that's why it's held up over these years. I wondered why everything was collapsed and on the floor, but the main columns were up. And when I hit them, I found the architect said, "You break your knuckles because they're cast iron." But what we had to do here, it's pretty amazing. Up above, too, where it looks like it's wood I-beams, those are wood encased steel I-beams. Those are steel I-beams going across and then with wood on each side of it, just like Daniel Burnham built the building in 1902. But in order to get to today's building codes, they actually cut off this column, set it down, then drilled down into the floor 16 inches with bolts. There's a steel column going straight up in there, then set that back over. Now you go, how do you do that and not have the building collapse? At one point, this building, they actually jacked the building up 2.5 inches, and then that's the only way they could release the stress off of these. And when we said, could the building collapse? I asked the architect, he goes, well, yeah, it could collapse when we do this. He said, I'm not going to be there when they do. And we stood outside when they did it because it was really precarious. But the contractors did a wonderful job. They set these back in. It's structurally unbelievably sound now. Where the wood went into masonry, you can't do that now because it will rot. They took 4 layers of brick off around here and set all the beams right on top of them, all the joists. The joists are made a special way so that we can run all the utilities through those. And you can just see the beautiful tin ceilings coming back here, the woodwork, the brickwork. You can see the windows.
You are going to keep the brick walls.
We're going to try.
Okay.
I want part of them to show. You can see there's certain parts that are damaged and things, but any place that shows well, we're going to keep.
Great.
We want to keep everything as original as possible. We even kept the safe in the wall in the ticket office, so that's sort of cool. But the windows on the inside, look at this, where it was all boarded shut and just nasty. You can see where it's talking about had to put new headers across because those were rotted out. They had to remortar all the brick on the second floor. Every window had to be remortared underneath. It was all loose brick because we'd never got to the walls because there were no floors. It was too dangerous. In the rooms in here that used to be on crawl, we actually, each one of these rooms now contain 2 dump trucks full of pea gravel, and we had them put in concrete.
That's a crawl space under there?
There used to be on this end and that piece, and over here.
So the basement is just...
The basement starts behind, over here in the hallway, and there's a tunnel that goes from this doorway over to the baggage house, and under that room and the farthest
That's where they used to push the baggage carts through.
And that's where they came in there. So that's a tunnel.
I don't remember it, but...
So everything has been made right now. It's called white space. In other words, you can come in here, and if we put sewer lines through all that concrete, so we can cut into it. We can put restrooms over there, over here. We can have a kitchen at this end of the building or that end of the building. We can run utilities anywhere in the building right now. And so it's ready to once we keep going with the project, we can build it to any spec. The stairway, we can have stairways at any place in here. And so we can open up, bring it up anywhere. It doesn't have to go where it originally was.
Oh, great.
And so that's the exciting thing. We can fit any type of business in here right now.
Wasn't there a stairway here?
Right over there, Sally. You can see the
then there was one back. Weren't there 2?
Just one stairway.
Oh.
One stairway.
Where was this falling? This was just all falling down.
This was
here.
where it was, this whole area had collapsed down.
Okay.
And in fact, if you walk down
I thought it looked like a stairway.
it was about a 20-foot drop.
Big steps.
Well, you remember, everything was rotted. Everything was rotted.
Wow.
Every board in here has been taken out and replaced.
And we had
Floors
a couple
and
of events in here, which, well, they closed us down after the 2 events that we shouldn't, because it was unsafe building. So, and it was.
Oh, unsafe. Before we started, we had 5 architects look at the building, and 2 of them wrote me letters that say, it's our professional duty to tell you don't let anybody in that building because you could get hurt. It's dangerous.
Well, we couldn't even get it insured.
That was a job. We're paying a lot for insurance, but it is insured. But this is what can happen when the community comes together to make things happen.
True.
And this is what's exciting.
And to have a leader like you and Theresa to do it.
Thank you very much there, but it's everybody working together to make things like this happen, because this is going to be the iconic structure of Richmond. People are going to come from all over to see this. Already they are.
They do. I mean, they have before. When it was all boarded up, people were always taking pictures from out of state. They were impressed that it was still standing. We're one of 3 Burnham the depots that's still...
Well, the Grand Central Station, Washington, D.C., the most magnificent structure in the United States, Daniel Burnham. And so there's a few of these left, but most of them are in bad repair.
Yeah.
And but you see why it needs to be saved. And when this gets done on the interior too, you're going to really be happy.
So you kind of envision a restaurant being in here, or any other possibilities?
We had, surprisingly, we built the 2nd floor to hold 499 people plus tables and chairs.
With those steps?
No, those are temporary stairways. And don't climb those.
I'm not.
No, the new stairways can go anywhere, but the 2nd floor can be a banquet facility, but surprisingly, we've had more people want to put offices in. So it might be that the 2nd floor becomes an office center. And what's neat, when you take pictures up there, we didn't know, but there's 48 windows up there, so every office would be lit with light, and you could see all around, so you have windows in every office. Downstairs, what we envision is having a restaurant in here where people can come. There can be the kitchen back here. On the far side, you could have an Irish pub. You could even use the basement for a wine cellar. It'd be unbelievable. We got the baggage house. We got the tunnel.
Oh, that's right.
Part of the tunnel is usable because of the height and stuff, according to the architect. There's so many things we can do, and right now we can do anything. So if anybody's out there wants to run a business, come see us. But
or you know of anybody. We all have friends all over the world. Tell them about it. Let them know, and get them here, and they might fall in love with it like all of us have.
Oh yeah, we have a billboard out on I-70. We get calls off that. We get calls on the internet. We get calls every day about the place. And the timeline now is next year to finish it up. And so, like I said, they got behind about 7 months on the building. But the next thing is we're starting, all the utilities will be run in, so all the excavating on the exterior, the gas, the electric, the water, the sewer lines, everything's going to be put in. And so by fall, landscaped outside, it ought to be beautiful. and looking really good. Everything out back has to be tore out.
Now,
redone.
will that be like a patio that you could eat on?
Yes.
Or just, oh, great.
That's, according to one of the architect's plans, he could put 250-seat restaurant in here, plus then
Just
you
in
can
the
eat
main
outside, these main rooms
Wow.
here, and plus a bar at the end or a pub, and then you can eat outside. You can put a verde canopy over the
Like
top.
it used to have?
Oh, yes, and we want to represent it. It won't be the same, because that was 390 feet long, the old one was, according to our
Well,
model
what's wrong
railroad.
with you?
But it will look pretty when we're done. So that's the next thing. All that will be done by October. And so it's coming
great.
along. And so according to the architect, so we hope.
Well, and we just let out the bids for the sidewalk and the sewers, so that should be moving right along about the same time.
Right. The city's going to put in sidewalks and sewers because find out that there's not a storm sewer out there, and that's why it looks like a big fish pond all these years. But
Have you had any ducks down here yet?
Do you know there actually was one? One mallard was swimming. Got a few pigeons too. But that's come along, and we're working with the city engineer and everything to do everything simultaneously so that there's no double digging or anything like that. Do it all at one time.
Talking about pigeons, it'd be interesting to know where those hundreds of pigeons went that used to live here.
We hope they go to somebody else's house. And what it amounts to, this
if anybody out there in Richmond listening, watching, if you have a lot of pigeons, you want to call Roger, he might help you.
All we need is a falconer. A guy with one of those falcons. Get rid of the rest of them. But yes, they used to live here because of all the
fly
holes
in and out.
flying in and out. And so, yeah, we had about 50 homeless pigeons there for a while. But it is coming along. It's unbelievable what these workers and Richmond workers, Wayne County workers have done here, and you can be proud of the construction workers here.
They're professionals.
Very professional. They do a wonderful job, and the architect.
They kept me out of here all the time. You don't have a hard hat on, you can't come in there.
That's right. They know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. So, what else here?
Well, we have that, and you want to show them some of these little side rooms?
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
I'd be
that
glad
you've done?
If you go in here, this used to be the restroom, the women's restroom. And this was all hanging down, nasty. You can still see some of the tile on the wall.
Bree wants to know what that little hole is over there. Was plumbing or something, maybe?
I think it was plumbing for the restroom.
Oh, okay.
But actually, until they put the floor in here, I'd never been able to touch the walls. There she is. Look, we got a friend coming through. And that's what's exciting, was to actually be able to come in and walk through and touch all the walls. I spent an hour just touching walls, going, never been through here to touch it. I mean, everything was this nasty hanging, and you'd fall through into here.
Did they have like the radiator heat? I can't remember.
No, it was not radiator heat.
So the whole room was heated by that one little...
Yeah, they had at one time there was a steam type a boiler system throughout the place,
okay.
But it had been taken out at some point. I don't know if they had been junked or not, but there had been several different types of heating over the years. Probably Steve Martin from the library could tell you more than anybody, because I believe his dad worked here. And so a lot of his family members worked here. And it's sort of amazing. Sally, I've given, since the first of the year, gotten talks. People want to learn about the depot. 24 groups. I got another one next week, and then 2 more next year. And every group in Richmond's been wanting to know about the depot, and it's exciting because it is a community effort, and all the stories are wonderful.
And you know, every project should be a community effort. That's what's really going to make our community grow. We just have a little time left, and I want you to go upstairs and explain that. I will wait down here for you.
You don't want to climb those, no.
I can climb up them. I can't come down them.
I know that. Yeah.
So we'll see you upstairs in just a moment.
Hi, we're upstairs now, and this is an exciting room because for years, 40 years, you couldn't walk up here. This is an amazing area. Had no idea what it even looked like. When we purchased the building, the architect brought us up the stairway, and all the supports were cut out in the basement. And I said, how are we going to get up? And he said, well, there's this metal railing you can hold on to. And we went like this and climbed up here into the second floor. And as we came up the stairway over here, he said, now don't go to the left or to the right because you'll fall about 25 feet. And as I came down this hallway to about right where we're standing, he said, don't go any farther because that building's collapsed at this end. And so until they had started construction on this, I'd never seen what this looked like. And this room up here was all cubicled into offices. And when we opened it up, I had no idea. From the exterior, knew it was here, but you had no idea. Look at all the light, all the windows. 48 windows have been put in here, replaced. It's an amazing thing, and this is why people are looking maybe at offices up here, because every office could have be a windowed office. Now, we do have it built to hold 499 people plus tables and chairs, and if we put 2 exits out there, we're actually okayed to 999 people up here. It's that strong. When you could jump up and down in here, the pins that were put into the wall were all structurally tested. It's just an amazing the job that they've done. And throughout here, you can see now the overpass with the avenue of flags going on. You can see these big columns out here too. It's sort of exciting. You can look right out front over the canopy and see the columns and the terracotta work and the Corinthian design that Daniel Burnham had put on here. And this is what's neat about this building. It's built in the classical style. And unlike when you go to saving buildings and things, from today's architecture, are you going to save a Walmart building or a Family Dollar store? These are the type of buildings that need to be saved, and that's what's exciting about what Richmond and the community are doing. Preserve Richmond, Landmarks of Indiana, all the other groups that are helping make things like this possible throughout the communities in Indiana and the nation. It's exciting to see, and being part of it is exciting. Look up here, you can see all the headers that we had to remortar in. When we got up here and started putting the windows in, this is where we ran into problems because the brick had all given away. And so they had to remortar, redo everything. We had 2 months that we couldn't do any mortar work because it didn't get above 35 degrees. And we had to have at least 2 days above 35 degrees, and this was a terrible winter this year. So that put us a couple months behind there. But it's come along, it's beautiful. You can see if this brick is cleaned and sealed, how beautiful this would be in here. That you could put flooring in here that would be magnificent, or you can put great offices in, because again, we've got over 6,500 square feet here that we can use. We can bring the stairway up anywhere in the building, restrooms, rotunded area. It's just exciting. Up above, there's actually a 3rd floor here, and you wouldn't know it. And I've been up there one time, and there's like a catwalk that goes through the middle there, and it's you can see some of the original wood, but we were walking on these boards through there during the construction time, and all the way to the end. And the 3rd floor is better than the 2nd, because as the roof had given away, it rotted. The 2nd floor, the floor that we're standing on now, was where all the water stood, and up there the rafters gave way and let the water come down. At each end of the building, at this end of the building, there's actually used to be a telegraph or signal room upstairs. And you might be able to see it. This is where the original stairway came through. And you can see the plaster ceiling still up there. And that was a telegraph room and a bell system, because they could see all the way down the tracks both that way. And up there too, what you see like the Stars of David on the outside of the building, those are just a architectural feature that Daniel Burnham used, and those are called oculi. And what those big holes were with the star in there, that is used to vent the attic. And so there's 3 of them on the building, and those are the actual venting for the attic. So it's pretty interesting how they did things back before they had air conditioning and gas heat. And we are going to put air conditioning, gas heat, all the new electrical, everything in. And that's all being started here quite soon. So we're excited about that. Another thing that's neat, you can stand here and watch trains go by. And you see a train out there right now, and the sounds of the trains and the whistles and the bells and everything. It's just fun. Kids love this. Kids love it up here. They love to be around trains. I mean, it's the biggest thing. Thomas the train and everybody. And all the little kids, when the trains come by, you can see them just run and gravitate to the fence line to watch. And so it's exciting. The whole community here is coming together to make these things happen. The whole Depot district, the wonderful things every person down here has done. It's exciting. If you haven't been across the street to the Mitrione Market, unbelievable what Rick Parker has done there, the 4th Floor Blues Club, the Atlas buildings, the hidden treasure of Richmond is unbelievable across there. You have Stacy Dills and Jess Lay over there, Coco's Shop, Joe's Pizza down here. You got the Northeast Street Gallery. Of course, you got the Richmond Furniture Gallery. You got Little Sheba's. There's 6 restaurants in this area now. We're going to be opening up the 7th. The Barbecue and Blues Club will be opening pretty soon in Richmond's first horse-drawn wagon firehouse that we've been renovating for the last 2 years. And so things are really coming around in Richmond. We've got the Christmas Festival coming up. We've got the Oktoberfest coming up. And those are, last year at the Christmas Festival, over 10,000 children and their parents attended and stuff. And it's community-minded, community events, and that's what we're here for. So we appreciate you very much being here, taking the time out to take a tour of the Depot, and hopefully the next time you see us on TV, you'll see it done and you'll be able just to walk in and see it for yourself. So I'm Roger Richert, and for WGTV, appreciate it very much. And the mayor, thank you very much, Sally, and thank you, the citizens and the community of Richmond.